What's up, folks? This is Justin from Books, Bricks, and Boards. No need to adjust your device. This is an extra video this week. I'm going to be doing an instructional solo play of Nimble. So Nimble is having a Kickstarter right now for a new Monsters and More book, as well as 4 new classes and a whole bunch of extra new rules. It's a really cool game already, and it's going to get a whole lot better, which I'm going to be talking about at length in my video next weekend. But one of the things that's near and dear to this channel that was unlocked in the Kickstarter are solo rules. I found this quite interesting because I've been playing Nimble both solo and cooperatively since October. So I'm curious to see what path they go. As we know, there's a lot of different ways that you can adjudicate solo play RPG rules. So even if they end up not being to my liking, that's okay because I'm already doing it, and so can you. Today, I'm going to be using a number of different tools, and I'm going to let you know right now what those are going to be. First off, the dungeon building, quest building, I'm going to be using AxianQuest. So AxianQuest has these dungeon decks, which are actually for Hero Quest, and you basically draw a certain number of dungeon cards, you draw a side quest and a quest, and it builds out a win condition, and it also populates the dungeon for you. You might notice that my dungeon looks a little barren right now. That's okay, because within the cards I'm going to be drawing, it will actually have furniture that will be in the rooms and enemies and all that kind of good stuff. So I built 4 level 1 characters. These are just standard level 1 characters, no extras, no changes to the rules there. I've got their action cards, and I've got the spells for the mage, and you might notice that there are some portrait cards. These are actually supplied by my good friend Steve Grodzicki from Pickpocket Press. These are for his Tales of Argosa game. It's an NPC creator deck, and it is going to be coming out very soon. He sent me it to check out to see how I liked it. And basically, you can create an NPC. Let's just put it right here. We will have some cards like that, and then we put a picture over top of them, and then that becomes our NPC. So this would be either Odessa, Cassie, Isilda, or Lucia, and they are beguiled by a fae, they're indecisive, they're a weaver, and they hum to themselves. So you've got a ton of these cards that you can use to build your NPCs. Now, in what I'm doing today, there will not be much role-playing, so you won't need a lot of that. But maybe I'll get a big bad that I'll be fighting, and I'll want to give it a little personality, and I'll build one using that. But for character creation, I thought having some portraits and using these to create the name would be a fun way to incorporate them in the game. Totally unnecessary, don't need to have that in your game, but it adds flavor, you might enjoy that. So you'll notice the dungeon is already pre-built. So the AxianQuest decks usually use the Hero Quest board. I am not using the Hero Quest board. I'm going to use my Dwarven Forge tiles. So for the most part, it's going to work the same as the AxianQuest deck normally does, excepting that in AxianQuest, you actually place the doors as you play as a player, and that interacts with the Wandering Monster mechanic. So since I am not doing that, I've already placed all my doors. Whenever you are in the hallways, and my take on this, you're going to roll a d6. On a 4, 5, or 6, you'll have a Wandering Monster, which will just be the top monster from whatever room decks you've already visited. And if you roll 1 through 3, there's no Wandering Monster. So I'm going to be able to check that twice. If there is a part of the game that requires a Game Master call, then I have the Game Master's Apprentice deck. This is the fantasy one. You can get that from Drive-Thru RPG. But for the most part, the enemies are going to be ravenous, mindless monsters just trying to kill me, and that's the way I like it. So, that being said, we are about ready to get started. I do want to also show one other thing off. So, I did create a custom list of monsters. I used Evan's Nimble Core Rules page 29 monster builder to build these. Some of these there are versions of in the Nimble Game Master Guide, but I didn't like how they lined up with the challenge rating for a party of 4 level 1s, so I adjusted them using his building tool. And if you wanted to run this for a higher level group, you could potentially double the number of enemies appearing, and that would be good for a party level 8 group. Or you could run a higher level character but less characters so that you have that same party level number that you're looking for. But generally, I've got this set up to be good as a challenge for a party level 4 group, that is 4 first level characters. So to introduce you to those characters, I have Cord of the Fast Hands. He is a dwarven cheat. I have Sir Arik, and he is a human oathsworn. I have Eldrick the Flameweaver, who is a human mage. And I have Shagog of the Bear Clan, who is a human berserker. And I will be starting them way back here. We'll go ahead and open the doors. And I'll start them on the first 4 tiles. And we'll put the cheat in the back. And the barbarian and the berserker rather, and the oathsworn at the front. So first things first, I need to choose a quest. To do that, I am going to shuffle up the AxianQuest quest deck and escape the dungeon. False allies of the Axian Kingdom have betrayed you and led you to an ambush. Now you must find your way out of the dungeon or you will perish. Don't place the stairs in the starting room. Clues. The 4th clue is the stairs. I think that should say the 4th clue are the stairs to freedom. Reward. Each surviving hero rolls a die. Those who roll a 6 increase one of their maximum body point or mind points. Flip a coin to determine which. So with the reward, I'll have to adjust that for Nimble, but we'll kind of roll with that. But there's our quest. We're trying to find our way out. We need to find all 4 clues to do that. There is also going to be an opportunity for a side quest. These don't have to be completed to be victorious, but there is a side quest deck, so let's draw one of those. The Cursed Kings. Ancient chronicles say that centuries ago the dungeon was the burial site of a cursed dynasty of evil kings. All mummies gain +1 attack die. If you find and defeat a mummy, you may loot it immediately. Each mummy has a jewel worth 2d6 times 10 coins. So I think what that's going to be in terms of Nimble, I'm going to give them an extra attack die if I run into a mummy. There may not be any mummies. We'll have to see. I've got the base number of dungeon cards that I need for this size of a group. And I've got the 4 clues pulled aside. I'm going to add 2 more cards to the dungeon deck. 1, 2. Now I'm going to put the rest of the dungeon deck to the side. I'm going to put the 4 clues with the other cards. And I'm going to shuffle these up. Now, I have 7 rooms and 2 hallways. The rooms are what are going to be assigned these cards, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Okay, so most of the rooms are going to get 2, and I'll have a few that get 3. So we're going to go ahead and start placing these face down. We'll put 2 in each room first, and then we will distribute the extras. So we've got 2 and 2 and 2 and 2, and we've got 3 extras. We'll do 1, 2, and this room looks important. We'll do 3 there. So now, when I enter one of these rooms, the first thing I do is flip over the cards. And there is a tomb, and there is a skeleton pit trap. Portions of the floor collapse. Place a pit in a free square as close as possible to every hero in the same room as them. Then place a skeleton in each pit. The skeletons play immediately like wandering monsters. Before the trap activates, the hero opening the door may disarm it by rolling a die. Dwarves need anything but a black shield. Heroes with a toolkit need a skull. Other heroes cannot disarm it. So, I've already determined on my Nimble quest sheet here that traps are going to be level 1. They're going to do a d8 plus 1 damage, and they will only initiate if I roll a DC 10. If I fail to roll a DC 10 dex save. So I am going to use my dwarf, who would have been the one that checked the door, and he's going to roll his finesse. He needs a 10 or better. He gets a +3 to the roll. Got a natural 20. Okay, so natural 20, he is not going to be setting off that trap. He is going to disarm the trap, but there is a tomb in the room. So I will not be fighting those monsters, as it were. However, I do have the side quest about the cursed kings and fighting a mummy. So I know that I am looking for a mummy. I know that this is a tomb, and I know that they've set up traps to have these pits with skeletons in them capture would-be grave robbers. So I'm going to ask the Oracle. I am saying it's probably likely that there could be a mummy in this tomb. So let's go ahead and ask the Oracle, is there a mummy in the tomb? And odds are good, yes, there is a mummy in the tomb. So now I need to get out the mummy. So since I've kind of planned this, I'm going to have the 2 warriors up here, and I'm going to have the wizard kind of standing in the back. I'm going to have the thief over there, and I will have the berserker make a strength might roll to see if he can move the lid off of the tomb. Got an 18. That's definitely going to be good enough. He's got significant might score as well. So he pops the lid off of the tomb, and the mummy comes out of the tomb. So now we roll initiative. Now remember, my characters did not know for sure there would be a mummy in there, so there is a chance they're caught a little bit off guard, even though they thought there was a possibility. So I will roll in order, and we'll do clockwise. So we'll start with Cord. So Cord got a 9 plus 0, so he is going to have 1 action, because 1 through 9 is a single action. This is just for the first round of combat. After the first round, they'll get 3 actions every round. So Shagog, he gets a +1, so he got a 14. So 10 to 19 is 2 actions, so he gets 2 of his actions. Then we'll go to Eldrick. He rolled a 2, +1 is a 3. He's only going to get 1 action. Kind of appropriate that the Craven characters with the low will scores would be the ones, well, I guess the wizard actually does not have a low will score, but I can see where he'd be Craven. Anyways, they're kind of taken aback. They're not getting many of their actions. And then Sir Arik, He got a 9 plus 2 is 11. So he actually got a +2. The humans get a natural +1 to all skills and to initiative. So that's a big benefit of being a human. And then everybody gets a background. And Sir Arik's background was fearless. He got another +1 to initiative, but a -1 to his armor, but he's immune to frightened. And so we have the lesser mummy, because the regular mummy from the core rules was a level 6 monster. So I made a level 4 that I thought would be more appropriate to what I wanted to do. So this lesser mummy is a medium monster. It has 2 slam attacks that are a d8 plus 5 each. And it has 49 hit points but no armor. And the first time you reduce it to 0 hit points, it returns with 1 hit points. That's a common undead trait. So I am going to go ahead and go with Cord. So Cord is going to, he's not close enough yet to attack. I think he is going to move up so that he can start stabbing away when he gets a chance. Now in Nimble, you get your actions back at the end of your turn. So now he's got 3 actions. The reason this is important is because in Nimble, you have a series of actions that you can take as reactions, and those include defending and interposing on behalf of your allies. So when you do so, that is going to take your actions that you would otherwise get in the next round. Here's another thing that I should mention is in Nimble, the enemies are assumed to go second unless there is a story reason why they had some sort of an advantage over the players. The players are always going to go first. Part of the cost of that is that they often will be doing so with less actions than their maximum to start the game. So I am going to now go with Shagag, and Shagag is going to spend an action to go ahead and rage. And so with that, he gets to roll a d4. Got a 4. So that is going to be added to any of his melee attacks for the rest of the combat until his rage ends. It ends if he doesn't attack anybody for a round and doesn't rage that round. So with his second action, he is going to raise his battle axe to the sky and swing on this nasty mummy. So I got a 4 plus 3, which is my strength score. That's 7 plus 4, which is my rage die or fury die. So that's 11 points of damage that I do to the mummy. So we will track that right here. That is his turn. He is going to go ahead and get his actions back. Then I will go with Sir Arik. Now, you'll notice I did not roll a to hit roll. That's because in Nimble, you just roll your weapon damage, which with my battle axe is a d10 plus strength. So I roll that, and I add my strength bonus to it. And as long as I don't roll a 1, I hit. If I would have rolled the top number on whatever die I'm rolling for my primary die, then that would have been a crit. And I would have gotten to roll another die and add to it. And if that one would have been a crit, I would have got to keep on doing that until I didn't and add them all up. But I didn't get that, so we'll go on to Sir Arik now. Sir Arik, the incredibly brave, the fearless Sir Arik, has his trusty shield and his longsword and his rusty mail armor, probably handed down to him from his father. He is going to go ahead and spend an action to attack with his longsword, using a d8 plus his strength. 4 damage he is going to do, so that is going to bring it to 15. that we've done to the mummy. Now he's got another action left. Now he's got some choices. So I could move. I could assess, which will be using a skill in a way that it would give me some sort of an advantage. That advantage could be a +1 to my results on like my next attack if I'm maybe examining for a weakness in his defenses. Or it could be a -1 to his damage if he attacks me for the next round. That could be like maybe I am anticipating his attack and maybe I'm going to use my examination skill to do that. But that would be assessing. Now I could also attack again, but since I've attacked once, I am going to be suffering from a rushed attack, and I'd have to roll 2 dice, and I would remove the lowest because I'm rolling with disadvantage. And I'm going to do that. I'm going to attack a second time. So I remove the highest, rather, because this is disadvantage. So I do 5 plus 2 points of damage. I did 7 points of damage with that second attack. I'm swinging away at him, doing some major damage. Whack, whack. So that was all of his actions. He is going to go ahead and gain his actions back. Now, armor in Nimble only comes into play when you use your defend reaction. You can only do each of your reactions once per round. So armor is only going to help you once at most, and it doesn't help you by default. So if I use one of these to block an attack, I will reduce that damage by 7. We got Eldrick, the Flame Weaver. He is the wizard, and he has a series of spells. So he's got Zap and Overload, Ice Lance, Snowblind, and Flame Dart. So Zap is a range 12, does 2d8 damage, but if I miss, then I would strike myself instead. Now, Ice Lance has range 12. It's a d6 cold piercing damage, and on hit, the enemy would be slowed, so it would affect their movement. I don't think movement's going to come up a lot in this room. So then I've also got Flame Dart, which does range 8 and d10 damage, and it causes smoldering on a critical. I don't have any other spells that take care of smoldering, so that doesn't really do me much good. So I am going to go ahead and use his one and only action to cast Zap. And I just realized I did not go in clockwise order because I went like that. So I guess I'm doing this kind of snake order. So my action, I'm going to shoot them with a zap. And so here's the thing. I said that if you roll the top number, it explodes, right? And you get to roll again and add to it. But I rolled 2 dice. Would it be on either of those? No. Only on the leftmost dice orientation-wise, which is considered your primary die. Same thing for missing. So if I had rolled a 1 on these, but it was the one on the right, it wouldn't have mattered. Same thing with an 8. If I'd rolled an 8 on this one, it's not a crit because it's the one on the left that matters. So I do 6 plus 3, 9 points of damage to the mummy with my zap spell, shooting a spark of electricity across the room and lighting up the mummy. Now I get my 3 actions back, but the mummy now gets to take his actions. The actions in Nimble for enemies are very simple. Unless otherwise stated, they always move up to 6 inches, and they are going to take whatever attacks they have, and then they're done. So you don't have a lot of decisions to make, which makes Nimble even better for solo play. So I have built them as a level 4 medium with Slam, does 1d8 plus 5 times 2, so they get 2 attacks. So I think they are going to maybe attack the Berserker is the biggest guy. So let's attack the Berserker first. 8. Okay, that's a crit. So 10 plus 5, 15 damage he will be doing to the Berserker. The Berserker has a special ability. He can spend a rage die, a fury die, to reduce damage by his strength plus his dex. So that would reduce the 15 damage to just 11 damage. He could use an action to reduce it another 1 with his armor. I don't think that really does much good there. But I am going to use my fury die. It's going to go away. But I'm going to take 11 instead of 15. That still puts me in pretty bad shape. Now, here's the worst part. That was just the first attack. The mummy is going to slam me again with his other hand, and we'll see what happens there. 3 plus 5 is 8 more points of damage. That puts me on 1. So the Berserker is nearly dead. But that was the last of the mummy's actions. So we are somewhat okay here. And we do have a little bit of healing from Sir Arik. He can heal 5 points of damage. And then we also can use hit dice to heal between encounters. So let's go back around and we'll do our snaking style of action order here. So Cord is going to go first. Now, if he gets a sneak attack, which is a crit, then he does an extra d6 beyond his normal damage. Also, if he is attacking a distracted opponent, that would be one that doesn't know he's there or that is engaged with other allies, he can make any die that he used to attack as any face that he wants it to be, including making it a crit. He can do each of those only once, though. He's wielding 2 daggers. Yeah, I know the model has a hand axe, but we're using daggers here because that's what cheats start with. So I am going to go ahead and roll, and I get to roll 2 dice if I wanted to because I'm dual wielding. So dual wielding allows you to, once per turn, roll with advantage. I am actually not going to roll with advantage on my first attack, and I'll show you why in a minute. I'm going to roll just with 1 dagger on my first attack. Now I got a 1. That would be a miss. But because the enemy is distracted, I can cheat that to a 4. Now since it's a 4, I can roll again because it's a crit. And that's a 2. And because I have sneak attack, I get to roll that sneak attack damage. So I just did 6, 9, plus 2 for my dex. So I did 11 points of damage. So he's taken 42, and the mummy has 49 hit points. Now, that was my first action, first attack. Now, if I attack again, it will be done with disadvantage. I'm going to go ahead and do that, though, because I can use my dual wielding to give myself advantage. Those two cancel each other out, so I get to roll a regular attack. You can see where this will add up quickly. So I hit, just barely. So I got a 2 plus my 2 for my dex, so that's 4 points of damage. So he is now at 46. Now you'll notice, rolling a d4, you have a 25% chance to miss every time you attack. Of course, not if you're a cheat, because you have the ability to use dual wielding, and also, like I said, you can, as a vicious opportunist, flip the die to whatever side you want once per turn. So cheats are really good with daggers. Not everybody is. The great thing about daggers is there's also a 25% chance that you're going to crit each time. And as a crit will result in an exploding die, you can end up with some bonkers numbers. I actually rolled 4 4s in a row last night when my son and I were playing. So it can do some massive damage, and it really makes the weapons feel, you know, like it's a dagger. It's a small dagger. You get to a pinpoint spot to do a lot of damage. and that's really cool. So I am going to use my last action to move, and in Nimble, monsters do not get attacks of opportunity. So I move out of the way, and I am going to get my actions back. Now I'm going to go with Shagog, who is down to a single hit point. Now that doesn't mean he'll die when he hits 0. We'll show that when we get there. I have a feeling we may with the way this has started. But Shagog is going to spend an action to do his once per turn rage. He got a 4 again, so that's going to be added to any of his melee attacks while he's raging. And then he is going to raise his mighty axe and try to enact his revenge upon the creature that did so much damage to him. And he misses. He gets a 1. Ah, brutal. But he has one action left. He is going to furiously swing that axe with disadvantage, as long as he doesn't roll a 1. Hey, there we go. So I got an 8 and a 9. Since it with disadvantage, I dropped the highest. So I did 8 plus 3, 11, plus 4, 15 points of damage. So with that, whack, the mummy is obliterated. Way more than what I needed to destroy it. Whack, it is dead. And then on top of that, because I had the side quest of the Cursed Kings, so it says, let's see, and I said I was going to add a die to the mummy. I didn't do that. Well, oh well. But it says that each mummy has a jewel worth 2d6 times 10 coins. So if I run into another mummy, then I will have to remember to give it an extra die of damage. So I got 7 times 10, 70 gold pieces. And we will just go ahead and let the thief hold on to that. Sorry, the cheat hold on to that. He is the treasurer of the group, shall we say. So we are now out of combat rounds, so we're not using our actions. I'm going to save my lay on of hands, because that can be done during combat. So giving 5 hit points back during combat is of certain value. But I can do a short rest and use up to 2 hit die of healing, which I'm going to do. I'm going to use both to try to get back hit points. So let's see how that goes. So I roll the 2 dice that I'm using. They're d12s for the Berserker, and I add my strength bonus to them. Huh. So I got an 11 and a 1. So that's 12 plus my strength on each. So that's an extra 6. So that's 18 points that I get back. 18 and 1 is 19. So I am almost to full. So I was battered by the mummy, but I recovered quickly. Unfortunately, my luck is running out because I don't have any hit dice left to heal with the Berserker now. So now I have a decision to make. I need to decide which route to go in the dungeon. So in this story, I'm thinking that the heroes perhaps had an old map, so they know the layout, but they don't know what kind of baddies have taken over which areas. So we're going to go ahead and open this door here, and we will have the thief up front because he's checking for traps. And then we'll have the Berserker and the Knight. And then the wizard is going to be in the back. The wizard is actually, before we go though, he is going to use, he's got a utility spell because he was an academy dropout. That was his background. So he has a light spell. So he's going to use his light spell to grant light on his staff. So if we go to a room that does not have natural lighting like we had in this past room, because we have these 2 orbs that were glowing, now we have a light source. So, and that stays up as long as the mage holds his staff. So should be good there. All right, so we've got the dwarf opening the door, and what do we see? So we've got one of our 4 clue tokens that we have to find. Place a skull to represent the clue. A hero can examine this clue with a search action, which allows the player to turn face up one card of an unexplored room. You cannot use this effect on a room that has one or more face-up cards. So I can actually use this to kind of figure out a card that might be in another room. That's cool. And it's also one of my 4 clues that I need to find. And a summoning rune trap. Monsters are summoned into the dungeon. Place 1 orc in a free square as close as possible to every hero. The orcs immediately they act immediately like wandering monsters. Before the trap activates, the hero at the door may disarm it by rolling a die. He must roll less than his current mind points. Well, again, these work differently because we're playing Nimble, we're not playing Hero Quest. And I had determined that all traps would be a DC 10 dex save. You might say, well, that's kind of easy since you've got a +3 on your dexterity because your dwarf is very high in finesse. But, you know, I did choose a cheat, so I should be a little bit more prepared than the average adventurer. So let's roll this, see what we get. 18 plus 3, okay, we did not set off the trap, so we avoided that. So once again, there will be no monster here, but there would have been a summon of an orc there had I not rolled well there. This also kind of assumes that there will be room searching, a la Hero Quest. And you might think, well, it wouldn't do to use the Hero Quest search deck because it's just a different game. But we could search the room in another fashion that would be a little bit more appropriate. So I'll keep my clues right there. So I'm going to use the Game Master's Apprentice deck. We'll give that a quick shuffle. And we'll split it and just say belongings. So there are belongings on each of these cards. So hobby gear, scrapbook, ship in a bottle, whittling knife. So those are just examples of what it could be. But I kind of like where we're going. Maybe what we found was a journal. And so the journal was of perhaps a fallen adventurer that had tried unsuccessfully to search this dungeon before. What was that adventurer's name, good dungeon deck? Let's see. I think it was Ming. Ming was the one. So we found Ming's journal, and so we can write that down. And if the story dictates, that might be an important thing for us to have later. It may never come up again, but it could. So let's write that down. It might lead the story in interesting places in the future. Okay, so, and maybe that's where our clue came from as well. I kind of wiped off where we had done the damage tracking for the mummy there. When reading Ming's journal, then perhaps that is how we find out what is in one of the other rooms. I can face up one of these dungeon cards to find out what is going to be in that room. I think I want to find out what's in the next room. I'm going to flip one of those. Oh, it's a clue. So something in Ming's journal pointed me to this next room, saying that what we're looking for is going to be in that room. So we're going to open up this door. And what was the other card we got? Let's see. We'll see together. Well, that was just fortunate. There are 2 clues there. So I've got 3 of the 4 clues that I need. And each of the clues has a different effect. So got another one that will allow me to look at 1 card in an unexplored room, and then this one will allow me to look at 2 cards in an unexplored room. So this one has been used, but these 2 have not. So let's go ahead and we'll move our heroes in. I use the term hero very loosely. We're basically grave robbers here, right? Except for Sir Arik. And we're going to use this one to flip over 2 cards to find out what's in this next room. Ooh, this is going to be a tough room. So, because we have 3 to 4 heroes, we're going to have 2 orcs and a gargoyle and an orc. So 3 orcs and a gargoyle. Oh, this is going to be a tough room. So, let's go ahead, grab our orcs and our gargoyle. And as a reminder, all of these figure flats came out of the HeroQuest First Light box. I have the big box too, that's the 3-dimensional minis for everybody. But I just felt like I didn't want to have unpainted minis on here, so I kind of like the figure flats. I'll turn them so that you can kind of see them from the camera a little bit. And the way I place these, I didn't have to place them a certain direction. I mean, I'm making up the rules here as I go. But I'm kind of using the methodology behind the way you place enemies in Shadows of Brimstone. As far away from the door as you can, and kind of a checkerboard pattern, getting closer. So with the biggest in the back. So here we are, we've opened the door. And just to give you an idea of what we're up against. So these orcs are going to be different than the orcs if you had downloaded Evan's special orc file, and probably the ones that are going to be in the Monsters and More book as well. So I've called these the Blood Clan orcs. These are level 1 enemies. They do 2d8 plus 2 damage. They have 20 hit points apiece. They have medium armor. Medium armor means that you don't get to do your modifiers added to your damage unless you get a crit. Also, their special is their attacks have advantage on bloodied heroes. Bloodied heroes are ones that are at half their life or less. So, I think I need to use choke points to my advantage. So we got to do our initiative. So we'll roll here for Cord. He got a 14 plus 0. So he's going to get 2 actions, because a 10 to a 19 is 2 actions. Shagag, he got a 3 plus 1. He's only got 1 action. Apparently he's still a little bit shocked by the near-death experience he had. Eldrick, 15 plus 1. He gets 2 actions. And then Sir Arik, he got 11 plus 2, so he gets 2 actions. You can see that most of the time you're going to have 1 or 2 actions. A lot of the times you will not get your full 3 actions. You got to get a 20 or better to get your full 3 actions on that first round. So I have some choices to make. I could rush in, potentially go fight the whole horde myself, and risk my allies shutting the door behind me. Or I could do the thief thing, the cheat thing, and I could take a move action to get out of the way of my teammates so that I can kind of stand in here and stab diagonally as the enemies come to the door. I'm going to take this door out of the way so that we've got more room for the minis. And then I will take an assess action. I'm going to do an examination, trying to look for weak points in their defense for my allies. So I'm going to do examination. I need to roll a 12. I get a plus 2. I do not succeed at that. So I have used my 2 actions. I moved, and then I did an examination or assess, and I was unsuccessful. So then Shagag, he gets 1 action. He is going to move up, despite the fact that he's probably terrified at this point. He's going to move up, and then he is done. So he gets his 3 actions back. I guess I didn't give those to Cord. So now he's got 3 actions. He's got just 3, sorry. Now we've got Eldrick. Eldrick has a range of 12 on his zap. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So he could actually get all the way back to the gargoyle. The gargoyle has heavy armor. Heavy armor means that you don't do your modifiers and you do half damage unless it's critical. So I think I need to put some damage on him. So I'm going to use my zap to attack the gargoyle. So with my first action, attack the gargoyle, I get to do a 2d8 actually. And the left die is an 8, so that is a crit. Another crit on the crit. So there we go. So I do 16 plus 4 is 20 plus 4 is 24 damage. If I had any adds for that attack, I would get them too because I critted, but I don't. But I'll go ahead and take the 24 damage and be happy about it because the gargoyle only had 29 hit points. You might think, well, why does he have so few hit points? It's a level 4 enemy. Enemies with heavy armor, because of all of the benefits, like I said, the half damage and all that good stuff, because of all the benefits, those enemies have less hit points typically. So that was one action. Hit with a huge blast of electricity, sending popping through the air as it cracks into the stone gargoyle. And then he is going to take another attack because I think I might have a chance to eliminate this thing. So I'm taking this with disadvantage. Since I was already rolling 2 die, I'm just adding 1 die, but then I drop the highest of the 3. Okay, so I drop the highest, and then I have these 2 left, and then I check to see primary die. This one's on the left, so I did not miss. 3 damage, but it does half damage because of the heavy armor. So I'm going to do 2 damage, which makes it 26 that it's taken of the 29 hit points that it has. And then we get our actions back at the end of the round, end of his round. And finally, we have Sir Arik. Sir Arik is going to go ahead and step up, trying to block this doorway. That is one action. And then for his second action, he is going to try to assess, looking for a way to prepare for the onslaught of attacks. And so he is going to use his insight to see if he can see something in the way that these enemies are approaching to try to reduce the damage they're going to do. So in game mechanics terms, if he hits a 12 and he gets a +3 to the roll, then he will get -1 to any damage done to him this turn. And he got a 2, so he did not. Gets his actions back at the end of the turn. Now it's the enemy's turn. So I'm going to have the closest enemies act first. They will move up, then attack, then go on to the next enemy. 1, 2, 3, and then attack the barbarian. And the Blood Clan orcs, they do a lot of damage. 2d8 plus 2. So in this case, this one is just slightly more left than the other, but sometimes that can be tricky. So did 8 plus 2, 10 points of damage. Yikes! This is going to be potentially a short session. So that was his turn. Now the second orc is going to move up. 1, 2, 3, 4. And he is going to attack Sir Arik. 7, 4, and 2. So 13 points of damage. Sir Arik is going to reduce that by 7, so he's going to take 6 points of damage, putting him at 11. Then we've got the other 2, and can't quite fit in, so he's going to be there waiting. And then the gargoyle is going to stand back a little bit, ravenous with anger after being bolted twice. And they are kind of chilling. So we'll be back to the player's turns, and we're going to go with Cord first. And he's going to use his first action to attack. And he will roll without advantage. He's not using his dual wielding, his once per turn dual wielding this time. So, but he can turn it to a 4 because they're distracted with the enemy there. And then, because it was a crit, you get to roll again. Because it was a crit, you get his sneak attack damage. So 8 plus 2, he just did 10 damage to the front orc. So we're going to go orc 1, 2, and 3. So 1, 2, and 3. So it did 10 damage. Oh, you know what? They're medium. He doesn't get his plus 2. Did 8 damage. Oh, no, it's a crit. That's right. He does get it because he critted. Yeah, I'm going to go back and forth on this all game. So he hits on his first one, does 10 damage to the orc. They have 20 hit points. So on the second attack, he is going to use his dual wielding. Because it's his second attack the same turn, that would be at disadvantage, but the advantage of the dual wielding balances it out, so he gets a regular attack. He got a critical hit. He doesn't get his sneak attack damage, that's once per turn. So he did 6, and he gets his plus 2, again, because he critted. So he does 6 more points of damage. That one's almost dead just from the stabby stab of the dwarf cheat. Now I've got one more action left, and I'm going to use that to assess. I'm going to use my finesse to try to set myself up to dodge attacks, so he'll take 1 less damage if he gets a successful roll. Needs a 12, he gets a natural 20. Yes, so he'll get a -1 to any damage towards the dwarf this turn. Gets his actions back at the end of the turn, and then we're on to Shagog. Shagog is going to roll his Fury die. He got a 2, so that's going to add to all of his melee attacks. And then he is going to spend an action to attack the orc in front of him that did so much damage. And he got a crit. Good. So roll again. This was a crit. So he did 18. He gets to add his strength because it was a crit. 21 points of damage. So he actually kills. Oh, and I actually put the damage on the wrong one. He's over here. The thief is over here. So got it wrong, but we know which one's which. So he did 21 points of damage. He kills the orc outright, cleaves it in half with his massive battle axe. He still has an action left. So he is going to do an assess with his finesse, trying to reduce damage done to him. And rolls a 7, plus 4 is 11, fails. I haven't gotten a single one yet. All right. Gets his actions back into the turn. And we've got Eldrick. Eldrick is going to try to zap the big gargoyle again. So he does 8 points of damage to the gargoyle. It's cut in half because he is heavy armor. But that's 30, which is just enough to kill the gargoyle. It shatters into a pile of stones. So then he is going to spend another attack to hit the orc that still has a little bit left on it that the cheat had stabbed. This is going to be at disadvantage. So we'll take away the highest because it's at disadvantage. Second action, rushed attack. So there's 8 points of damage, which is enough to kill that orc. Zap. Now, normally, at this point, we've killed like basically the entire group except for this one sole orc. Would he really stay and fight until he is just completely dead? or would he try to surrender? You know, I think in this dungeon, I'm going to say that these creatures are possessed. They have no mind of their own. They are just bloodthirsty. So we're going to continue to fight. Plus, it's more fun that way. So I am going to, now I could attack a third time and take 2 disadvantage dice. I don't think I'm going to, though. I think I am going to try and assess action, and we'll just see if I can use my examination skills to lower damage. Nope. I am not doing well with the assess actions. So Sir Arik is up. He used one of his actions last round to use his defend to lower the damage on him. He is going to move up with 1 action, and he's got 1 action left. He will use that to attack with his longsword. I have to remember, if he is attacked, and he was last turn, I forgot about that. He was attacked last turn, so I should have rolled his radiant dice, radiant judgment dice. So he has 7 points that's going to be added. Basically, he's like a paladin, and since he was attacked, he has this righteous judgment that helps him on his next attack. So he's going to add 7 points to this attack. If he misses with it, it goes away too, though. So it's not an automatic free hit. So I attack with my longsword, 4, and I get my 7 radiant damage dice. So that is going to be 11. I don't get to add my strength because he's wearing medium armor, and I did not crit. So I did 11 points of damage. And that's the end of his turn, and that's the end of the hero's turn. We go back around to the orcs. Again, these are just crazy, bewitched, bloodthirsty enemies. And the orcs have 2d8 plus 20 damage. Now, we've placed it in such a way that the knight is closer, the Oathsworn rather, is closer to the orc than the berserker is. So the orc is going to attack the closest. Like I said, they're mindless. So he is going to roll his 2 dice damage. And he gets 10 plus 2, 12 points of damage. But I will use 1 action to defend and lower that by 7. So it takes 5 points of damage, which puts me on 6 hit points. That's not good, fellas. Okay, but it's back to the players now. And power to the players, right? So got the rogue, or the cheat, up first, rather. The cheat is going to pop up. Now, in the future, you might be thinking, wow, that's really bad news, because he has 1 hit die that he can heal with. He's got his 5 hit points that he can do. And then what are you going to do for the rest of the adventure? Well, I can also do interposes. I can use reaction actions to take the damage with another hero. So I could have done that last time with the cheat, and I probably should have. So the cheat is going to hop up, and he is going to take his regular attack, and he's going to turn it to a 4 because the enemy is distracted. He's going to get to roll an extra die because he turned it to a critical. Got that. Got his sneak attack. So he does 7 plus 6, 13. Because he critted, he gets his bonus. So he does 15 points of damage, which is more than what the orc had left. So killed the orc outright. Awesome. So let's see. Are there going to be any treasures in this room? Well, let's go ahead and use that Hero Quest treasure deck, and we will see what we get. So this is a way that you can kind of just utilize aspects of different games to make your games more unique, even in Nimble. So let's see what we got here. We'll draw a card from the Hero Quest treasure deck. Wandering monster. So it will be the last wandering monster that I killed. So it's going to be an orc. So as I'm searching through the room, the way that I would view this, I would find that there had been an orc, maybe, and it was the dwarf that was searching. So maybe there was a secret trapdoor back here, and as I'm getting around to finding if there was any treasure or a lair there, then the orc pops out, gets a free attack on me. When you have a wandering monster, they get a free attack. So he attacks the dwarf. Got a 1-1, so he misses. That's good news for us. So I lost my fury die because I was no longer raging, but all of my actions are back. And then we go to player turn. So the dwarf is going to pop back. Remember, no attacks of opportunity for enemies in this game. And then he is going to just chill. I'm not going to worry about his other actions at this point. So then I'm going to go with Shagog. He's going to come up. He's going to rage. Got a 4. Awesome. And then he's going to use his last action to attack. He got a 7 plus, he didn't crit, so it's still medium armor, so he doesn't get his bonus for strength. 7 plus his rage die, 11 points of damage. They've got 20, so we're going to do 11 there. And gets his actions back at the end of the turn. And then we're going to go with Eldrick. Eldrick is going to go ahead and zap the orc. He got 10 points of damage, which is enough to kill it. Bzz. I am guessing that orc regrets not just staying in its little hidey hole. But no treasure. Now, we have a little bit of downtime. I did lose my rage die because combat's over. I'm not raging anymore. Now, I do have an issue that I should have taken care of before I searched for the treasure the first time. I am down to 6 hit points. I need to use my short rest with the Oathsworn. Got a 10, awesome. So, and I add my strength to it, so that's 12. So I'm back up to full hit points. That's the good news. Other good news, I still have my lay hands for 5 points. Bad news is, I have now used my only hit die to heal with the Oathsworn. So we are getting dangerously close to that point where we're not going to just shake off this damage anymore. I'm going to have to start using my interposes to spread the damage out more. That's okay though. So let's go ahead and we are going to move. We'll get everybody situated. We're out of combat now, so I'm not going to worry about just where everybody lands because we can kind of set it up the way we need it to be. And we're going to have the dwarf up front because he prepares to find traps all the time. And before we open that up, I'm going to use my last clue. I can flip over one of these to find out what's in this room before I open it. It's a dart trap. Okay. So there is going to be a dart trap if I open that door. That means there's only 2 cards that could potentially be an enemy. So I think I like those odds. So I'm going to go ahead and open that. And I'm going to roll for my dart trap with the thief. The cheat, rather. He got it. He got an 18 plus 3, so 21. Needed a 12. Or 10, rather. So then the other 2. So there's some furniture. So I got a table and 3 orcs. So we're going to go ahead and put the table in the middle. So this is kind of their makeshift dining hall. And then we'll grab 3 orcs. And I guess what I'm going to do this time, I'm going to situate them in such a way that maybe they were eating. And so then I need to roll initiative. Initiative with the dwarf. 18 plus 0, he gets 2 actions. Shagog. 16 plus 1, he gets 2 actions. This is good so far. Eldrick. 16 plus 1, he gets 2 actions. And then Sir Arik. 19 plus 2, he gets all 3 of his actions. Awesome. So the rogue goes first, the cheat goes first. I'm going to keep calling him thief and rogue and all these other things that he's not. And so he's going to move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He's only got a movement of 5 because he's a dwarf. He does not have the benefit of being distracted the opponent. So he's going to roll with his advantage from his dual wielding. And advantage, I dropped the lowest. So I got a 4. That's going to be a crit. 5. Sneak attack. 4. So that's 9 points of damage. Since he crit, he does get to add his 2 points. So he did 11 points of damage. So we'll just start again right here. So 11 points of damage to that orc. He has 1 action left. He is going to use his finesse to try to dodge and prevent damage. Nat 20. Okay, so any damage done to the dwarf is going to be reduced by 1 this turn. This could come in very handy, because I think he's going to be interposing. So then we've got Shagog, who is going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll go there. That's 1 action. He's got another action left, which he's going to use to attack. He does not have his fury up yet, so that is a shame. But he gets his D10 damage. Got a 10. Okay, he crit, so he's going to get his strength bonus too. He did 18 plus 3, 21 points of damage. Whack! He slices and cleaves the orc in half as it was enjoying its meal. So then we've got Eldrick, who gets 2 actions. Eldrick is going to move. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And going to zap the one closest to him. And got a crit on the primary die. By the way, these dice that have been critting, those are the ones I got out of the Beetle and Grimm dice box for the warrior. So if you want to get some. So you got 8 plus 7 is 15 plus 4 is 19 points of damage of the 20. Wow. So 19 points of damage, that'll work. You can see where this is very swingy. Sometimes I just kill them outright, and then other times I am like near death's door within a single round. So I've used my actions. Next round, Sir Arik. So Sir Arik is going to move. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And going to attack the one that the wizard just attacked. Got a 7. So that's going to do 7 points of damage. He's at 26. Now I'm going to attack with disadvantage, swinging his sword wildly. Drop the lowest, 5. So that is enough to finish him off. Whack, cleaving the orc. And now it is the orc's turn. Again, I've just killed both of his buddies. I'm covered in orc blood from the last room. If this were a reasonable orc, they would give up right now or run away. This is a blood-crazed, bewitched, mindless orc that is going to just do anything it can to spread its hateful attack against us. So we have the most recent to damage is going to be there. And he's going to attack the knight. So he got a 5 and an 8 plus 2. that would be 15 points of damage. But I think we're going to try to interpose. Okay, I had to check. Interpose is only within 2 spaces. So I cannot interpose with the dwarf, but I could interpose with the barbarian, berserker, or the mage. I'm going to do it with the mage, surprisingly. I push them out of the way and take his spot. The reason I'm doing that, the mage has not taken any damage yet and could potentially absorb the hits a little bit. Ooh, I better not do that. The mage has only got 10 hit points. Let me rethink that. Ooh, that would put the mage wounded level. Ugh, such terrible decisions. All right, let's reverse that. Let's go back. I guess it's going to be the knight that takes the 15. The Oathsworn is going to use its armor to reduce it by 7. Still going to take 8 though. So he's at 9 hit points, and he's got his healing left, but it's only 5. So yeah, I guess that's the best option I've got. So now it's back to the heroes again. We're going to move with the dwarf. He's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He's going to take a normal attack, and he's going to cheat that to a 4, which is a crit. And that's a 4, so that's another explosion. So then again, got a 3, and then he gets his sneak attack die, which is a 6. So 8, 11, 17, and he gets that as 2. So 19 points of damage to this orc. Whack. He's only got 20 hit points to start with. So that was his second action, because he moved and then he attacked. So now he's going to attack with his dual wield. So it's a disadvantage, but then an advantage from the dual wield makes it a regular attack. I get 3 points of damage, which is just enough. So Cord, this sneaky little cheat, snuck up behind and stabbed the thing in its lungs and let it fall to a bloody, messy pile. So there we go. We've finished up that room now. I still have one more clue I need to find. So here's the thing. I got 2 ways I can go, and both of them involve a wandering monster roll. So I can go down this hallway, or I can go to this hallway. I don't know which is going to be the way to go. But let's go ahead and we'll go to the one that's closer to the camera, because that'll be better for filming, I think. So we open the door, and as we open the door, we have standard setup. And let's see if we have a wandering monster. 4, 5, or 6 will be a wandering monster. 5. Okay, so it's another orc wandering monster. So yeah, this thing is just crawling with orcs. So let's go ahead and roll initiative. For the dwarf, gets 1 action. Shagog gets 2 actions. Eldrick gets 2 actions. And Arik gets 7 plus 2, still just 1 action. Okay, so this is probably okay just because we've got them outnumbered, but it's all about attrition at this point. If I don't get them killed in 1 turn because they get some bad rolls, then potentially they whittle down a little bit more of my resources, and it's bad times. So I'm going to move. I've got 1 action. I'm not going to move. I think I'm going to stay there and get my 3 actions back into turn. Shagog, on the other hand, is going to move and attack. He gets a D10 attack, not raging. Does 2 points of damage. So we'll have to clean this up here in a minute because we're running out of space. Gets his 3 actions back at the end of turn. So I'm probably not going to kill this thing this turn. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so I'm in zap range. I've spent my action. I'm going to zap him. I missed. Going to spend another action with disadvantage. So I remove the farthest left of the highest die because I had disadvantage. I still crit. So I roll again. So I did 11 plus 5 is 16. So I've done 18 points damage. And in the turn, I get my actions back. You can see how this combat just goes really quickly at this point. So I'm going to move up with Sir Auric. That was his one action. I should have healed with him before. All right. Now it's the orc's turn. The orc, sensing the battered and bloodied condition of Sir Auric. Auric is not bloodied, I guess. He's above half, but he's close. If he was at half, the orc would get advantage on his attack. The orc's going to attack him nonetheless. So he did 12 plus 2, 13, or 14. And I'm going to use an action to take 7 off of that. So I'm going to take 7 points of damage. Now I'm definitely bloodied. I am at 2 hit points, and I only have 5 that I can heal for the rest of this session. That is tough. So the good news is it is now the hero's turn. And the dwarf is going to sneak up through his ally ranks and pop out over here. You can see how closely packed in we are, all base to base. And he is going to take a regular attack against his distracted opponent, which means he can cheat it up to a 4. Crit, does another 2 there, and 3. So I did 6, 9 plus my 2 because I critted. So 11 points of damage, which is enough to kill the wandering orc. But they wished that they had not wandered into that scenario. I'm going to take just a second to clean up my stat tracking mess. All right, so let's kind of arrange the characters. And I think this is going to be a little bit different. I used a gate here instead of a regular door with a purpose. My thought was I'm going to give the characters an option. They could either take a difficult, that'd be a 15 DC strength check to try to bend these gates or lift these gates to get in, or there would be some sort of a key in the final room that they explore. So I could do that, or I could go back to the other room. Since I've already gone through this hallway and dealt with this orc, I'm going to try to do the bending bars, lifting gates with Shagag, who gets a +3 on that. So I got a 13. What's my might? Oh, he actually gets a +6 on it. So I got a 16 because my might was so high. So yeah, so I lift the gate. And let's see what we've got in here. Let's hope the last clue's in. Oh, and there is a clue. And there's a chest. And there's a weapons rack. There's not even any enemies in there. I got really lucky because I am close to death. So we've got the weapons rack and a treasure chest. I think that will go there. And then I got my last clue. And the last clue was the means to get out of the dungeon. So it kind of tells me where that escape route might be. So for the weapons rack, I would determine a random weapon that was available. Let's go ahead and ask the Oracle. We'll say it's unlikely that anything of great value would be left here, but let's ask it if there's any spectacular magical items on this weapons rack. And it's unlikely, so unlikely. Bad odds, yes, and an exclamation point. Okay, so to me that grants me the narrative capital that I need to justify there being a magical item there, a magical weapon. So I'm going to go to the Nimble magical items and kind of look at some of the items that are there. So it could be a weapon of slaying. You know, there's been a lot of orcs here. I wonder, you know, most common would be a sword, but then probably next most common would be an axe. So let's ask the oracle. I think it's a weapon of slaying. So let's say is it a weapon of slaying orcs sword? If I think that's likely, and if not, it'll be an axe. So is it a sword? Even odds, or likely, yes? Yes. So it is an orc slayer longsword. So we are going to give Sir Arik an orc slayer longsword. And that kind of makes sense why they would be guarding it and why there were no orcs in that room. Even the very thought of being that close to the orc slayer longsword would be just very frightening to them. And then I got a chest, which is 1d6 times 10 coins. 60. All right. So I got, out of the whole mission, I got 130 coins, and I got a magical sword. And then my main quest was to escape the dungeon. It said each surviving hero rolls a die. Those who roll a 6 increase by 1 their maximum body points or mind points. Flip a coin to determine which. Well, I don't think we're going to increase maximum body points or mind points because there aren't any, but maybe you get an extra hit point if you roll a 6. Nope. 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 All right, so nothing for that, but I did survive. Came out with 130 gold and a magic sword, and that is how you solo Nimble using the AxianQuest dungeon deck. And if you wanted to get a copy of my monster list that I use for this, like I said, this would mainly be for level 1s, but you could double the enemies and have level 2s. You could adjust them a little bit to a higher level threat, but this is just a fun little way to enjoy Nimble solo. Of course, I use the Dwarven Forge. You don't have to do that. You could just draw out a number of rooms with a battle mat like I've got here, or use the Hero Quest board like AxianQuest's dungeon decks assume that you're going to be doing anyways. There are so many ways that you can enjoy Nimble. It's a great game, and if you want to hear me talk more about Nimble and the ways it's going to change due to the Kickstarter, be sure to check out my video next Saturday. That's going to be a great one. I love this game. I love talking about it. Can't wait to talk about it some more. But let me know what you thought of this solo play in the comments. And until next time, this has been Justin from Books, Bricks, and Boards. Good gaming, and God bless. Look at those absolute legends. Keith, Simone, Dengar the Mighty, Joke, Blue Rose Lion, Agile Monk, Bjorn, I Am Not Tim, Chronic Axe, Reed Miller, Blake Dell, and Mike the Hammer. Special thanks to Prowlinor, Acine Dean, Steve Grodzicki, Spinning Toehold, Neuromancer, and Simon Templar.